Yo, what's going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown here, and we're back with another podcast. I'm delighted to be. Yo, hold on a minute. It's episode number 55, should I say, of the Boxing Lowdown podcast, man. I'm joined by my guy, you know what I mean, Mr. Controversial, and it's going to be a very controversial show today. I know it because we got the big preview, man. The fight that you've been waiting for. Laurie in the house. What's going on, man?
Growing up, I never looked up to athletes or boxers. I looked up to the hustlers, the bangers, the gangsters, the Rayful Edmonds, the Jeff Forts, the Nicky Barnes, the Big Meech, the Larry Hoover. Sometimes you got to go back to what you was before you can move forward.
What did you think of that?
It was kind of eerie, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on. Was it a wind up or I don't know, man, but it just seemed a little bit incongruous. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was mucking around, man. But, you know what I mean? It was a bit off key. Some people have said he looked a bit spaced out, like he'd been on something, but I'm not going to say that. But it was a bit bizarre. But anyway, that was that. This weekend, and the new. That's what we should call this show. And the new.
For who though? They're both champions. So who's the new? Who'll be the new undisputed? Well, I know
the undefeated. The new, the undefeated, the undisputed.
Let's see, man. Nah, we're gonna get into that for sure. You know what? That's what most of the show is gonna be about today. We're gonna chop that up. We're gonna get straight into. We'll get straight into it, man. I mean, it's not gonna be a long show today because you've got to be somewhere at 6 o'clock, right?
I've got to be somewhere just before 6 o'clock. Yeah, I'm actually doing another show. It's been hectic around here at the moment. There's a lot of content going out on AFTV, as I'm sure you will appreciate, Daryl. But yeah, man, a lot of stuff going out, a lot of activity. So yeah, man, it's all good. And of course, we've got a great weekend this weekend.
A great weekend this weekend. So we'll chop up on that preview. We'll speak about some of the fights last week and then some new shows that have been announced this week as well. But listen, let's get straight into it, man. You guys know what to do. Like, share, and comment. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on 934 subs now. So we've moved up a little bit, but we're on 934 now. Still trying to get to that 1,000 mark. And we'll get there. We'll get there eventually, I'm sure. But listen, this week, we got some comments in here already. You guys know what to do. Just drop your comments in as you come in. Like the video, share the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll read those comments out live on the show today. Let's get straight into it, man. Harvey's already here. He's put here, damn, I'm liking the new design. I hope you're both good. Yeah, the design looks good, doesn't it? The design. Do you like the design, Laurie?
Yeah, it looks great, man. Yeah.
Got to switch it up a little bit. If we are going to get to 1,000, yeah, we got to switch it up a little bit, innit? Got to jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah, production quality's got to go. I mean, I apologize because, as you know, Darren, my laptop's under repair. I still haven't got it back yet. So I'm actually having to use my phone. And although it's a very good phone, it's not quite the same as having my MacBook. So forgive me for that. But listen, man, you're going to see a lot of things improve in that era, in the production era, in the coming weeks. And of course, listen, man, the content's always good on this channel. So come on, bro. You know what I mean? Come on, people. Like, share, subscribe, share the video. Let's get it over 1,000, man. You know what I mean? Come on now.
It's Van Grobber said here, I'm live. Yes, go on, boys. Ian Hamilton has said here, evening, lads. Here we go. It's a Canelo week, which means Laurie will have his juices going. Yeah, we know. We know, Ian.
Well, I'm cycling on and off.
Let's get straight into it, man. Obviously, it's Canelo and Plant this weekend. Undisputed championship will be on the line, £168. It'll be the first actual super middleweight undisputed champion. So this will be some history in the making here this weekend. Very heated build-up. Caleb Plant hasn't been holding back on his thoughts on Canelo. Canelo recognized as met by many, maybe not you, Laurie, but by many, as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the game today.
By too many.
We'll get straight into it, man, because I know you're rocking with Caleb Plant. I know you're rocking with him. You want him to win. But when you look at it, how does he win? Because we know Canelo has got a great chin. We know he's got probably one of the best chins in the game. We know it's going to be very difficult to beat him on points on the scorecard when you've got that machine behind him. So how's Caleb Plant realistically going to win? It's going to be difficult, ain't it?
It's going to be extremely difficult. And to be honest with you, I'm not so sure, despite what I've been saying, whether it will turn out that way. Because forget about the PED stuff and forget about the judges and the WBC. Forget about all that. Just for talent alone, even I will be the first to admit that Canelo's a tremendous talent, man. I mean, let's be honest. He's I think he turned pro when he was 15 or 16. He's 31 now. He's had nearly 60 fights. He's won 56 of them, you know what I mean? He's only lost one, and that was to perhaps the greatest fighter of the recent generation, Floyd Mayweather. He's come close to losing a few other times, but you know what I'm saying? He's a great fighter, tremendous talent. You've only got to look through his resume to see he's beaten some great fighters and fighters with different styles. He's beaten the movers, he's beaten the punchers, he's beaten the come forward guys, you know what I mean? So he's done everything you would want, you know what I mean? So yeah, you would have to make him a clear favourite on that alone. But that being said, I like Caleb Plant and I like the energy that he's bringing into this fight, man. You know what I mean? I really do. And I think he's a very talented fighter. By comparison, he's had nowhere near amount of the fights that Canelo's had. I think he's had 21 fights. He's unbeaten, but he's not got a massive KO record. I think he's only won 12 by KO. And he's not fought anywhere near the level of opponent Canelo has fought. So given those factors, you would have to go with Canelo. But you know what I mean? I think with what I like about Caleb Plant, the first thing is that I like the fact that he's not intimidated. You know what I mean? You can see he's come to win. And I can't always say that about Canelo opponents, man. Sorry. You know what I mean? Billy Joe had a little bit of that in him, but I always felt that Billy Joe was past his best by the time he got that opportunity. I said that before the fight, and I think during the fight you saw that. He had a couple of half-decent rounds, but he was not able to sustain anything, you know what I mean? And I think that was down to the fact that with Billy Joe, let's be honest, man, he pissed away a lot of his career. When I say pissed away a lot of his career, I don't mean necessarily drinking, because I don't think he's a big drinker, but I just don't think he'd applied himself in the right way over the years. And going into that Canelo fight, man, he'd not had that many good performances. So to me, he was slipping by the time he got in there. And it showed on the night. But with Caleb Plant, I think you could be seeing a guy that might be coming into his peak a little bit. And I like his energy. I like the fact he's not intimidated. He's clearly come to win. And I like the way he's handled himself. And I think he has some size advantages over Canelo that can work in his favour. Height, reach. He's the better athlete, definitely in my view. And I just think, man, that he carries a real threat to Canelo in this fight. But
listen, we know Caleb Plant has got a lot of ability. He's still undefeated. He's got the confidence behind him. He's a world champion. He grew up tough, man. Came up from the trenches. Had tremendous story he's had to overcome, and some of the challenges he's had to overcome in his life so far. So he's not going to be worried about going in the ring with Canelo, despite how good he is. But the issue is how is Caleb Plant going to be able to keep Canelo off him? It's going to be very difficult if you're not able to move him. And, you know, I mean, even Golovkin was able, he's very heavy-handed, but he didn't stop Canelo in his tracks in the second fight. Will Caleb Plant be able to be, we know he's slick, but will he be able to be that slick enough to completely outbox Canelo? Because that's what he's going to have to do, isn't he? He's going to have to really outbox Canelo in this fight. And do you know what he needs to do as well, Laurie? He needs to get off to a great start. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get off
he needs to have a great start, a great middle, and a great finish, because he's not going to get any favors, bro. You know what I mean? This is the Canelo show. Let's not make no mistake about it. And some of the shameless things that have gone on before this fight will be repeated on the night, in my view. To me, if Caleb Plant is even going to have a chance in this fight, he's going to literally have to win all 12 rounds. It's very unlikely, extremely unlikely that he's going to be able to stop Canelo, unlike what Andre Ward is predicting. So really and truly, you're looking at a points win if he were to get that. Can he outbox Canelo comprehensively over 12 rounds? I'm not so sure if he can, to be honest. He will definitely win rounds. And it may be that he might win 7 rounds, which normally would give him a win. But realistically, man, I cannot see him getting a decision over Canelo. I just think that boxing politics being what they are, I just don't believe that he will be given a fair shake. I just don't, man. And I'm not just saying that, you know what I mean, to try and back up my own previous statements. I genuinely believe that boxing in that way is very corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You saw what happened when Floyd was boxing Canelo's ears off. Literally boxed his ears off, and one of the judges went against him. You saw what happened with Erislandy Lara. You saw what happened with Golovkin. You saw what happened with Austin Trout. And in all his fights, even when he's, you know what I mean, been ahead, or, you know what I mean, the fights have been stopped, you look at the scorecards and you think, right, they didn't even give his opponent one round. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying this lightly, man. This is facts. You know what I mean? Caleb Plant is not going to get no love on the scorecards, I believe. And so that makes it extremely unlikely that he's going to win. Because like I said, so far in his career, he's not shown anything like the kind of power that you need to beat Canelo.
No.
I mean, Canelo's been in with some big punchers, man. Big punchers. Kovalev, Callum Smith, Danny Jacobs, you know what I mean? Miguel Cotto, James Kirtland, you know what I mean? Alfred Angulo, Shane Mosley, you know what I mean? Kermit Sintron, guys who can punch. And he's not come anywhere close to going down. I think Miguel Cotto's brother staggered him with a shot. That was when Canelo was about 18 years old. That was back in the early 2000s or mid 2000s or something like that.
Yeah.
So his chin is solid. So
we'll see. I mean, we got a lot of comments here. Let me go to some comments. Isfan Grobber said here, maybe you should hide the number of subs so some people wouldn't have the bad idea until it's up. Many don't subscribe if you have less than 1,000 subs. It's idiotic, but hey, I mean, yeah, could be right. I mean, I don't know. I know people do think like that. If your video don't have a certain amount of views on it, they'll be like, oh, I'm not watching that. That means it's not popular. I'm not like, they'll just think it, you know what I mean? They won't worry about the content. They just won't watch it. I guess some people are guilty of that at times, but yeah, I'll see what Isfan is saying.
Yeah, I guess it's what you might call YouTube snobbery, isn't it? But,
yeah. Harvey has said here, I've liked Plant in this build-up, to be honest. It's nice to see someone not just show up for a payday. I totally agree. I like it. Billy Joe Saunders did it, and Plant's doing it. Do you know what I mean? He's not just showing up there kissing his ass. He looks like he really wants it, and he's not afraid to talk his shit, which is what I like to see.
Absolutely.
You know? Francisco,
he's not done it by being an arsehole, has he? He's actually articulated himself well. He actually carries himself very well. Yeah. So you tend to get a lot of boxers nowadays. They range from being quite humble and not saying too much, and then you get absolute retards and arseholes. I'm not going to even dignify those guys by naming them here, but we all know who we're talking about. But with Caleb Plant, I don't think he said, for a start, he's not said anything that's not true. You know what I mean, has he? When he's addressed those press conferences and he's made reference to Canelo cheating, it's not like he's made this stuff up. It's actually facts. So I applaud him on that. You know what I mean? More people should be coming out and saying this type of thing. You know?
Yeah.
He's not got deeply personal with Canelo. I mean,
so he called him a motherfucker, didn't he?
Yeah,
that's personal, man.
That's just a general term that gets thrown around. But then you say that about him calling Canelo a motherfucker. This is the same Canelo that called Demetrius Andrade exactly that. Remember that? And I'm also informed that he made similar comments to Danny Jacobs in Spanish during their press conference before their fight. So really? He's not above doing stuff like that.
Well, he seemed really offended by it when Caleb Plant said it.
Yeah, he seemed to have this big problem. I think the main problem he had with Caleb Plant is, number one, Caleb Plant from the get-go, even when they were drawing up the negotiations, he was showing Canelo a side of defiance. He was showing him, look, I'm not intimidated. You're going to give me decent grounds to have this fight on. You're not going to bully me into taking a 6-week camp or a 4-week camp so you can do whatever. You know what I mean? You're going to treat me with respect. And I think that kind of attitude has hurt Canelo. He's got under his skin. And then you got Caleb Plant, you know what I mean, insisting that he's going to win and win well, minimizing some of Canelo's previous wins, saying that he thought he could have beat those guys as well. And it's just kind of got under his skin because Canelo is a diva. He's used to people treating him a certain way and bowing down to him, and you know what I mean, and he's used to having sycophants around him. All of a sudden, he's come up against a guy who's not going to do that. And he's making it known publicly that he's not going to do that. And on top of that, he's calling you a cheat. You know what I mean? And airing out that in public. And to me, I think that's why Canelo got so upset. So the motherfucker thing, I'm not buying that for 1 second.
Let's go to some comments here. Harvey says, I don't see this fight being any more challenging for Canelo than the Billy Joe Saunders fight. That's what Harvey's saying. Big up WM here. He's put here, yes, boxing brethren, I hope you're well. He's put here, Caleb Plant is going to get planted. Ian Hamilton has said, it'll be a good fight while it lasts, but Canelo is just too good all around for Plant. Canelo has an answer in every department. I think he'll be a bad beating. Anything else, I'll be surprised. So not a lot of people are going for Plant. As you can imagine,
you know
Canelo's
what?
the heavy favorite.
I could see why people are saying that. Because like I said, if you look at the resumes, I mean, I actually took some time out the other day to look at the two resumes, and honestly, you cannot begin to compare Caleb Plant's resume with with Canelo's. You can't. I mean, his best wins is against Uscata, who incidentally has recently been revealed as another drug cheat. Yeah. Porky Medina, Caleb Truax, and Vincent Feigenbutz. Now, you would have to be a keen observer of boxing to know any of those guys are. You know what I mean? Let's keep it real. I mean, Caleb Truax is most remembered for his win against a very, how can I put it? A very depleted James DeGale. Yeah. Vincent Feigenbutz is just a tough German guy that's known for coming forward and being tough. The Scooter guy was being built up. Although
Plant weren't the favorite. He weren't the favorite in that fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair to Caleb Plant, in that fight, I seem to remember that Uscata guy was a firm favorite in that fight. Yeah. He was said to be the puncher. He was said to be the one with the momentum. And not only did Caleb Plant beat him, I remember that he beat him quite easily, didn't he? Dropped him a couple of times and beat him quite easily. It was a very impressive performance. So maybe Caleb Plant's one of those guys, man. He will rise to the occasion and fight up to the limits that he's expected to when asked to. But you can't compare those opponents that I've just listed there, right, to the likes of, you know what I mean, like Sergey Kovalev, Danny Jacobs, you know what I mean, Amir Khan, Miguel Cotto, James Kirkland, Erislandy Lara, Floyd Mayweather, Austin Trout, Shane Mosley, Kermit Sintra, Josecito Lopez, you know what I mean? All guys that Canelo has fought. So there's a big gap in the resumes. But you know what I mean? Listen,
so wait. It sounds like you're giving, you know, you're acknowledging Canelo's resume and you're starting to say, yeah, he is. You know what I mean?
But to be fair though, I've never not acknowledged the fact that he's a great fighter, have I? I've never not said he's a great fighter. What I've had issues with is the PEDs, for which he's never truly been punished for that, has he? Never. I think he got like a 6-month ban, which, you know, I mean, amounts to nothing because he wouldn't have fought 6 months after that fight anyway. And then we had the shameful and disgraceful scenario where the WBC actually upped the levels of clenbuterol, which means, to me, that how do we know that Canelo's not still cheating? How do we know? How can we safely say that he's not still cheating? Because if he's taking the banned substances and they said, well, we're not going to punish you for that and we're going to up the level of the banned substances, who's to say that he's not still taking clenbuterol?
Well,
so anyway, it's that type of attitude and that type of diva-ishness that I've tried to speak out against. And, you know, I'm a bit sort of disappointed, actually. And I'm not talking about the people who watch this show. That the people that occupy the space in boxing, the people with a voice, have not come out and condemned it. Where are the likes of your Doug Fishers, your Steve Kims, you know what I mean? Your people like that. Why are they not speaking out about this
Your
stuff?
Gareth Davises.
Gareth A. Davis, people like that. Your BBCs, you know what I mean? Your Skies and people like that. Your Eddie Hearns, who was on TV crying about fighters and he got rid of Jarrell Miller. You're trying to kill my mate when he was talking about AJ, but yet still you're there lauding Canelo. You know what I mean?
It's a bit sickening, Eddie Hearns lauding of Canelo.
You know what I mean? Totally hypocritical. And this is what I'm saying about Canelo. Very few people have got the balls to speak out against him. Caleb Plant is one of them. And there's only a few others. I think Devin Haney's come out and had a few words to say. Josh Taylor, I believe, Sonny Edwards. But even people who you would have thought that Canelo's beaten, even they don't say anything about it. You know what I mean? It's almost like they're scared to say anything, man.
Yeah.
Real weird. Real weird to me.
Let's go to a comment here from Francisco. He says, Plant cannot get a decision on the Canelo Diva show, but Canelo won't need help this time. He's not going to be interested in boxing with Plant. He'll time him, walk him down, and knock him out in 9 rounds or less.
Well, I don't have a huge problem with saying that. But my
so you're acknowledging what you're saying is that you want Plant to win, but deep down, you know he won't win. Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't say I know he won't win. No, I didn't.
All right, so what are you saying?
I'm saying I want him to win. I think it would be great for boxing if he did win. He definitely has a chance to win, and it wouldn't surprise me if he won 7 rounds or more in this fight. Because contrary to what a lot of people say, I don't think Canelo is that hard to outbox at times. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a high output in terms of punching. Yeah. He doesn't have great footwork. So to outbox him is not the hardest thing in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Plant won 7, 8 rounds of this fight.
It's asking
but what I'm saying is, will he get credit for that on the scorecards? And I'm saying he won't.
Ian Hamilton says here, oh yes, Laurie is getting going now. I'm hearing half of Mexico is on the plane right now with pitchforks. Isfan has said here, it has to be said that clenbuterol is a very weak kind of drug used to elevate or keep testosterone levels up after you took testosterone for a while and then stopped. That's what Isfan has to say about that, clenbuterol.
Listen, man, it's an illegal substance. You take it, you're cheating. It's as simple as that. And it could be masking other substances as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And let's be honest and say that it's not just Canelo out of that camp, the Reynoso camp, that's got caught for cheating. So what does that tell you about that whole setup there? You know what I mean?
Francisco says here, they did VADA for this fight. Plant actually said Canelo is clean this time, but there is still the clenbuterol level issue, which is shameful from the WBC.
Well, yeah, he's clean for this fight, but then you must have heard of what they call residual effect, Daryl, which is that if you've been taking stuff over the years and then you stop taking it 6, 7, 8, 12 weeks before, you still enjoyed the residuals from taking that banned substance. So I'm not really, you know what I mean?
It is a question for you. Let's say Canelo wins. He goes on to win however many fights for the rest of his career, and then he retires. His place in history for you, is that affected by
Absolutely.
this? Like, where would you put him if he was to retire after, let's say he beat Plant, became undisputed super middleweight champ, and then he retired? Where would you put him in history then? Because obviously I know this drugs issue for you, but then there are loads of fighters that have like completed their careers that were tested positive throughout their careers. So are we showing the same energy? Where does Canelo rank if he was to retire after this weekend for you?
Well, I mean, what I would say about that is this, yeah. I think that guys who, for a start, I don't believe he should be on the pound-for-pound list. I think it should be out there. The fact that he's been caught for cheating twice, apparently. It's not once. Apparently, it's twice. Now, I think that, I don't know if you follow baseball, Daryl, or, you know, I mean, whether you follow it or remotely, but there was a guy called Barry Bonds, right? And he had the record for hitting the most amount of home runs. And there was a lot of people were saying that there should be an asterisk marked against his career achievements to denote the fact that, and the things about Barry Bonds, I don't even think he ever got caught. He was just highly suspected that he'd been taking steroids. And there was a strong lobby to say, listen, we put an asterisk against this guy's career because we believe that, yes, he is a great player. He hit all those home runs, but he did so aided by performance-enhancing drugs. And I'd like to see a similar type of thing in boxing, where if a fighter is retired and they've got, you know, all these fights and won all these world titles, there should be some kind of asterisk that goes against their record to say, well, listen, we acknowledge that he's a great fighter. However, he's also been caught cheating. Because that at least shows that you're taking it seriously. You know what I mean? You're not just letting people just get away with it. Once you're caught like that, that should be on the record.
So you're saying Canelo should have an asterisk next to his career if he was to retire?
I'm definitely saying that. And that's why he would never be on my pound for pound list. I wouldn't even have him on it, though, let alone be number one. Once you're cheating, you're cheating. And the thing is, this is not baseball where you're just hitting home runs. You are hitting people in the head. You're potentially rendering them unconscious. You're potentially inflicting possibly life-altering damage on somebody.
Here's a question for you.
Cheating in boxing is way different to cheating in athletics or baseball or tennis or football or any of those sports.
All right, here's a question. The time when, and like, yeah, I totally agree, by the way, but the time when Canelo got busted was when he was training for the second Triple G fight, wasn't it? So that fight, not to excuse him, but that fight didn't actually take place. But the wins that he's got on his resume as of now, he was clean for those. He was.
How do you know? How do you know?
He didn't fail the test, did he? For those fights.
But how do you know though? Because what we're saying is,
well, we just got to go off. We just got to go off what the testing was.
Well,
when he got busted, it was actually while he was in camp for the second Triple G fight, wasn't it?
Listen, the point I'm trying to make is this right there, and I don't want to belabor. We should really be talking about the fight, so I don't want to go on about this all day long. But let's look at it like let's just be rational, yeah. So you're telling me that Canelo only cheated for that second Triple G fight?
That's the only time. That's the only time he got officially caught.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly what I'm trying to say. So shoplifters operate on that principle, don't they? If you got caught stealing in Tesco's, and you say to somebody, "Well, that was the only time in my life that I ever stole, and I actually got caught," people are going to look at you sideways and say, "Come on, man." What that means is that was the time you got caught. You've been a cheat for a long, long time. It's just that on this occasion you got caught. The rest of the times you didn't. And that's a principle I tend to operate on. But listen, man, for this particular fight, yes, he's been adjudged to be clean, or he has so far anyway. But what I am saying is that the backdrop of this fight is that Canelo is pretty shady, man. And I think that a win for Caleb Plant would be a win for boxing, because I think that even though Canelo's cheated, he's never really been punished. He's never really suffered any consequences, right? And I think that's very wrong. But yeah, to go back to the fight, I think if you analyze it in terms of skills and abilities, punching power and all the rest of it, you would clearly have to lean towards Canelo. But I do give Caleb Plant a very good chance. I hope he wins. I want him to win. But I wouldn't put money on it because I don't trust the judge. If I could be, you know what? I'm going to say this. Yeah? If I could feel confident that he would get a fair shake on the cards, I'd put my money on Plant.
Would you?
I would. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Because Canelo can be up.
You did predict Wilder against Fury in that third fight.
I did. You know what I mean? But I also predicted Chaco Stevenson to win. You know what I mean? So
let me ask you another question. Yeah, like you were really rocking for Wilder in that third Fury fight. Now, in this fight here with Canelo and Plant, you're really rocking for Plant. Would you say you're rocking for Plant more in this fight than you was rocking for Wilder against Fury? If that makes sense, like, what does that make sense? Are you rocking for Plant more?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's about the same because, again, Tyson Fury is another one. Convicted drugs cheat, Nandrolone. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, man, there was issues around his conduct in fights. You know what I mean? So I acknowledge that, again, that Tyson Fury is a very good fighter. But there are issues around him, man, that I wasn't happy with. And I'm more than happy to come out and speak my truth as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. One thing I will say is, listen, my prediction for this fight is that I believe that Canelo will overcome Plant in the later rounds. I'd say between round 9 and 10. I think that the pressure might get too much, and then he might force a late stoppage. However, I wouldn't mind seeing Plant win at all. I mean, I've seen some of the. He's been getting a lot of slander. I know you're not on Twitter that much, but he's been getting a lot of slander on like Twitter and apps like that. And I just think, yo, man, I think he should be given a bit more respect from some of the people on there. But you know what people on Twitter are like? They want to associate with the person that's winning, the person that's, you know, got all the glitz and glamour. And that's obviously Canelo. Listen, I'm a big fan of Canelo. I like him a lot. But some of the slander I've seen at Caleb Plant, I don't think has been fair. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think he deserves a lot of respect, especially where he's come from and what he's had to overcome to get to this point. I think he should be lauded, really. I think he should be a bigger star than he is in America right now. But maybe his boxing style hasn't allowed him to achieve that.
Well, maybe if he wins this fight, he will get some of that praise that he should get. I mean, listen, man, we live in an era now where what I call a pervasive area of dick riding. And it's not just boxing this applies to. It applies to all different sports and all different genres, where people just put people on pedestals and just sort of hero worship people. And they just do that constantly, you know what I mean? And that's the kind of world we live in right at the moment. And Canelo is one of those guys where he kind of epitomizes that, you know what I mean? Where even other fighters who should really be calling him out on his bullshit, they just keep quiet and say nothing. And that's why I've kind of gravitated towards Caleb Plant. Because from the get-go, when Canelo tried to force him into taking a fight on a date where he would have had not very much time to prepare, he basically said no. He knew he had leverage because he knows that Canelo wants that belt to become undisputed. And he used that leverage in the right way. He said basically, no, we're not going to fight in 4 weeks' time now that you've announced it. We're going to do things the proper way. And right from the get-go, I've been impressed with his attitude and his mental fortitude. Now, obviously, it's all right having those attributes, but you've got to be able to fight as well, and you've got to be able to do it under the lights. Now, Caleb Plant is unbeaten, so he doesn't know what it's like to lose as a pro. He comes across as a very confident individual. But you still got to have the skills. Now, does he have the skills to overcome somebody like a Canelo? I don't know. We're going to find out on Saturday. But I do like the look of this guy, man. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be Canelo's toughest fight for a good while. You know what I mean?
More of a threat than Billy Joe.
You had somebody as flat-footed and relatively slow, didn't you? Like Triple G, and he was outboxing Canelo at times. Those two fights he had with Triple G were pretty close fights. Some would say controversial. I mean, I thought he lost the first fight, didn't you? Most people did.
Yeah, I did think he lost the first fight.
So if Triple G can outbox him,
yeah, but I mean, you're saying it like Triple G's nobody. Yeah, like
no, I'm not saying he's nobody, but I'm saying Triple G is not noted for his boxing skill, is he? He's noted for his power and his brute strength. So what I'm saying is, if Triple G could take rounds off him behind the jab, which is what he was doing in that fight, then why can't Caleb Plant do it?
Yeah, but he's got more weight behind it. It's probably because, you know what I mean, like he's got enough power to keep Canelo off him, even with a solid jab. Has Plant? That's the question. Does Plant have enough power to keep Canelo? Because it's all good. I mean, he's going to catch you eventually. You need to hold it back. You need to keep him back with something.
Did he knock out Austin Trout? Did he knock out Erislandy Lara?
Long time ago.
Did he knock out Danny Jacobs? Did he even knock out Callum Smith?
Yeah, but they had them two could punch.
Did he even knock out Billy Joe Saunders? I mean, I know he inflicted that damage on his eye, but before that, did he knock him down or knock him out?
Yeah, but it was heading that way.
How do we know that Caleb Plant doesn't have a great chin?
We're going to find out. I'll tell you that.
We're going to find out on Saturday, and I can't wait.
Let's go to some comments here. Francisco said, yeah, that is the question. How do you evaluate his career if he never tests positive again and wins big fights? Do we still hold those old tests against him? I don't know. And Steve Harrison has said here, what about Wilder's conduct, stating that he wants a body on his record?
That's
So
a
that's for
slightly
you, Laurie.
different subject, man. And just for the record, Steve, if you've watched previous shows, you will know that I've been heavily critical of Deontay Wilder for saying that. Indeed, we were going to talk about Jerome Ennis, and that's one of the things that the only thing that's disappointed me about Jerome Ennis so far is on Saturday when I saw catch a body on his shorts. I thought,
I could vouch for you on that. I could vouch for that because you have said on this show before that you're disappointed in Wilder saying that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. This is a serious sport as it is, man. We don't need people going around saying they want to catch bodies and all that. When I saw that on Jerome Ennis's shorts at the weekend, man, I was pretty disappointed in it because that's not the image that you should be portraying. But, you know, I don't know, man. It seems to be a common trend nowadays. Hearing a lot of the MMA guys talk about killing people in the octagon, and I heard one of them today talking about, I'm going to give this person life-altering injuries after our fight. To me, that's not. It's a sport at the end of the day.
All right, listen, Laurie, we've only got about 5 minutes left, so I need to rush through this, man. Francisco said here, Bonds played for my Giants. It's most likely he took PEDs, even though he was already great before he got big, because that he's been kept out of Baseball Hall of Fame despite being an all-time great.
So that's go.
What they're the consequences of.
And the thing about Larry Bonds is, to my knowledge, I mean, I'm sure Francisco will correct me if I'm wrong. To my knowledge, I don't think Barry Bonds ever failed a drugs test. But he's known in the trade as a cheat, and that's what I'm saying. So if baseball can apply those principles to somebody that didn't get caught, why can't we in boxing apply those same principles to somebody that has caught?
Boxing lacks a lot of integrity. We know that.
Where is the moral compass? And that's what I'm saying with Canelo. That's why I repeat again. If Caleb Plant wins on Saturday, for me anyway, it'd be a great thing for boxing.
All right, last thing before we move on quickly. Final prediction for me, I'm going to agree with what Mohammed is saying here. I'm going for a 10th round stoppage win for Canelo. That's my official prediction. But I think Plant could be maybe up on one card, surprisingly. I think he'll be doing all right, but Canelo will catch up with him. It'll take a couple of rounds off him. He'll start off pretty quick, but I think Canelo will catch up to him. Laura, your prediction, what's yours?
My final prediction is going to be that, and I'm not trying to cop out here, I'm saying that Canelo will likely win, but to me, Plant should have got the decision.
So Canelo by decision?
Yes.
Okay. And Jerome Ennis obviously looked spectacular last weekend. I know you were just talking about him there. Quick question for you on that. Is he ready in your... Because after the fight, I mean, he absolutely disposed of Dulorme. You know what I mean? Your prediction there was not... Well, it weren't even... I mean, you didn't have to have worry about you not being able to come back on the show again, because you did say if Dulorme upset Ennis, then you wouldn't be back. But deep down, we all knew that weren't going to happen anyway. And so it showed Ennis knocking him out in one round. After the fight, Ennis said that he wanted the top 5 welterweights now. He called them out by name. He literally said, I want them all. Then the Showtime reporter, Steve Gray, then said, give me one name. Give me one person specifically that you want. And he said it. He said, I want Errol Spence. So is Jerome Ennis ready for those guys now, in your opinion? The top 5 welterweights, is he ready for them right now? As in next?
A resounding yes. Absolutely.
Based on what?
Yes.
Who has he fought on that particular level to say he's ready to go and fight an Errol Spence? As great as he's looked, who has he fought to even make you think he's ready for that level now? Because remember, when Errol Spence was on the come up, he was disposing those guys as well, like what Ennis is doing.
So, what does that say?
I mean, what has Ennis done to show you, like, what level is he being to show, he's ready for that 2-3 levels up now? What's made you think that?
Because I look at him and he seems to have everything. Darragh, at the end of the day, you are right to raise the question. I'm not mad at you for that. But what I would say is, put him in the ring and we'll find out. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you now, Jerome Ennis is blessed with a lot of natural talent. He works hard. And when he gets in the ring, man, he looks sensational. I've got to say that, man. You know what I mean? I can't remember watching a Jerome Ennis fight and not being impressed. So what I'm saying, he looks to me like the kind of guy that will go up that next level. And yes, he will be going up, as you quite rightly say, another couple of levels. But he looks as if he gets to those next 2 levels, he'll be more than comfortable there. I truly believe in what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
He looks to have all the attributes needed. I mean, we don't know what he's going to be like under pressure. We don't know what he's going to be like when he gets hit square in the chin by a big puncher. But then that's what boxing's all about. You don't know until you actually get in there. You know what I mean? All the great fighters had to take that next step. I remember people saying against those guys, man. But when he steps up to that next level, he could be found wanting. Well, he stepped up to the next level and he won easy against Steve Robinson. Very easily. Now, I'm not saying that Jerome Ennis necessarily puts a Nazim-type performance that he did against Steve Robinson on Errol Spence. But I'm saying, to me, he looks like he could hang with any one of those champions, any one of them, including Errol Spence.
All right, your network is starting to go off a little bit. So we're going to lock it off here. Mohammed has said here, are you watching the UFC Saturday night? No, I'm not going to be watching that. Are you watching it, Laurie? I'm not interested.
Yeah, man, I like the UFC. There's a great fight this weekend. Kamaru Usman, who's recognized as pound for pound, probably the best UFC fighter in the world at the moment. He's fighting Colby Covington, who's a very controversial fighter, but a very good fighter. They fought last year, or I think it was maybe 2 years ago now. Kamaru Usman won with a devastating stoppage. But Colby Covington has always said that there were things in that fight he weren't happy with. He felt he was prematurely stopped and 1 or 2 other things he complained about. He is a very good fighter, but he has a lot to say about for himself, and he's not always the most popular. But that's helped sell this fight.
Yeah, not for me. Sorry. UFC is not my cup of tea, man. Have to be honest.
But what's interesting about Kamaru Usman is actually called out Canelo. He said, I'm the best pound for pound in the UFC. You're the best pound for pound in boxing. Maybe we should fight next.
Is that appealing to you? Is that appealing?
Nah.
It's boring.
Nonsense.
Yeah, it's boring.
Would walk through it. Canelo would absolutely walk through it. But
he'd walk through him in the ring, and then he'd walk through Canelo in the cage. Yeah. I mean, we all know that. I mean, what's the point?
Sounds to me like it was a publicity stunt to sell his fight, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, we're going to lock it off anyway, man, because I know you got to go. Maybe after the fight this weekend, we'll do another live, you know what I mean, make up for that. But, you got to go and do your show on News Daily. You know what? I might stay on for a little bit longer, actually.
Yeah, man, you do that, man. Enlighten the people with your knowledge.
I'll stay on for another 10, 15 minutes or so.
Remember what I told you, yeah? And no!
We'll see.
You heard it here first. Or what you're going to hear is absolute disgust at people saying that Caleb Plant should have got that fight, but he was robbed. I think that's what you're going to hear.
All right.
All right.
Well, listen, I'll let you go, and we'll catch up after the fight, man. So, yeah.
Respect. Shout out to all the people watching, man. Let's get Daryl over this 1,000. Let's do it. I'm out.
Let's do it, man. Peace. Yes, guys, I'm still here, man. We're going to talk for about another 10 minutes or so. Big up my bro Andre in the chat here. He's just arrived. Good to see you, man. Mohammed has put here, and still. That's the thing. People are putting like and new and still. But when you think about it, both of them are champions. So like we're waiting for a new undisputed champion, aren't we? I think Canelo will win on Saturday night, as the majority of you guys do. I think that Caleb Plant does have the ability to cause problems. I've said that. Laurie basically believes it. And if he really needs to be at his absolute best, get off to a great start, and really just, put in 100% every single round. I'm sure he will. But ultimately, I still don't think it'll be enough to beat Canelo, because like we've all been saying, not only is it going to be difficult to get a decision, very difficult when Canelo has the judges in his pocket, it's going to be very difficult to knock him out. And on top of that, he's got one of the best chins in the game. And then on top of that, you're dealing with someone that's just tremendously skilled. He's got punching power. He doesn't have many flaws at all. He's got a great chin. He's got punching power. He's just all round a brilliant fighter. Do you know what I mean? His technique, his fundamentals, everything. He's got it. So how does Caleb Plant defeat that? When you look at Canelo's resume, he still looks like he's in his prime right now, doesn't have any signs of slowing down. It's going to be very difficult, man. As good as Caleb Plant is, and as much as I like him and the fact that he is undefeated, I just can't see him beating Canelo right now. I think he could give him problems for a little while, but I don't think he'll be able to sustain it over 12. Is there anybody out there that I think could beat Canelo right now? Maybe you got to look at somebody like Beterbiev, maybe somebody like him, but I don't know. I'm not sure. It's going to be difficult. Maybe I know he entertained that fight with Beterbiev, but I don't know if that will happen. We'll have to see. But let's just see, man. I'm looking forward to this weekend anyway. Ian Hamilton has said here, Boots Ennis, man, the guy seems to have so much to him. That division is stacked, though. Isvan Grobber said here, I've got to say, I think most of the top fighters are taking drugs. Some of them just wasn't caught yet. I agree. Paulie Malignaggi was a big advocate for that. He definitely was one person that was always speaking about guys that were taking drugs, and he thinks that it's rife in the game. And it's not a fact of people getting caught. It's just a fact of how many people are doing it. And I think that there's a lot more than we're seeing. But the problem is like when they do get caught, the excuses are going to be the same. It's just going to be, I never knew I took it. This was against my will. I didn't know. And then if you're like Oscar Valdez, for example, you'll get away with it. So, that's just how it is. Harvey has said here, I'm going Canelo round 8 or round 9 KO. Seems to be like the common theme. Canelo late or Canelo on points. Big up my bro Shane in the chat. He's put, yo, bro, what happened? Listen, Laurie's gone now. I didn't actually get your message. I couldn't get you on in time. But if you want to jump on quickly, you can. But I'm not going to be on for too much longer. Might be better to do a show next week or something, Shane, where we can do some feedback on the actual fight rather than just previewing it. So we'll do a show next week, actually. MS22 has said here, Benavidez versus Canelo would be 50-50. I'd love to see that. Benavidez, actually, man. I think that'd be a good fight as well. Good for pointing that out. Benavidez, I know he's got his fight coming up. It was supposed to be against the scatter guy, but he got busted for drugs. Do you know what I mean? Another one. So, I'd like to see that. But Canelo, I mean, would he fight Benavidez? I mean, he was saying that he didn't want to fight another Mexican. I know that Benavidez is American, but he's got Mexican descent. So does Benavidez count? Would he fight Benavidez? I don't even know. But I'd love to see that fight as well. Benavidez is one of the top young guys out there right now. And he's looking very solid. He's very big. He's got power. And, maybe he might be able to be the guy to defeat Canelo. It would be difficult as well. But he'd have to really go in there, believe in himself. And I think he would. I mean, from what I've heard of him speak in the past, he has said that he feels he can beat Canelo, but he hasn't. I don't know. Has he been beating down the drum for that fight? I don't know. I'm not sure. Harvey said here, did you see Froch saying he'd beat Canelo in Triple G? I saw that. I know he said that about Triple G. I saw about what he said about Canelo. I think it was today or yesterday. But I don't think Froch would have beaten either, in my opinion. He was a very good fighter, Carl Froch, but in my opinion, his defense was too leaky, got hit too easy, and I think that Canelo and Triple G would have got through him, in my opinion. Mohammed has said here, what's the toughest fight for Canelo? Like I said, I'd say probably Beterbiev if he was to move up to light heavyweight. Dimitri Bivol could give him some problems, but I think that he'd overcome Bivol. Benavidez is a good fight as well. I'd love to see him up against Charlo. I'm not saying that these guys would beat Canelo, but I'd say that they would give him his toughest fights. I think Charlo is in his prime. He's looking good. Ultimately, I'd still pick Canelo to beat him. But maybe a Beterbiev. I think that's going to be the fight. If he was to move up to light heavyweight, which is, again, another huge feat to do. I know he's toyed with the idea in the past, but somebody like maybe a Beterbiev at 175. And that's what Harvey's saying here. Beterbiev and Bivol at 175, no catch weights. They're the hardest fights for Canelo. I have to agree that because he's coming out of his comfort zone again. He's moving up to another weight class, and Beterbiev is a solid light heavyweight. He's knocking everybody out. And I'd say those two. Probably those two. I like the Benavidez fight as well. I like the Charlo fight at super middleweight too. But I'll still pick Canelo to win those fights. But Beterbiev and Bivol at 175, they'll be difficult. But I'll pick Canelo over Bivol. But Beterbiev, it'd be difficult. It's my opinion. Big up Paul in the chat here. Have I got a link in the UK? I'm not sure what he's talking about. I don't know if he's talking about this stream or not. But I'm going to be signing out this soon anyway. But yeah, it's going to be a good fight, man. BT Sport pay-per-view. I'm not sure if you're referring to that, Paul, with regards to the fight itself, but it will be on BT Sport over here in the UK. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, man. But ultimately my prediction for this fight will be Canelo to win in the 10th round late. I could see it going to points maybe, but I'm kind of favouring the late stoppage for Canelo. I think Plant will get off to a good start because he has to, but I just don't think he'll be able to sustain it. Will he do better than Billy Joe Saunders? I don't know. Some people believe that Billy Joe Saunders was doing really well in that fight. I definitely had Canelo winning. I think I had him like 2 rounds up or something like that. And I could see it being pretty similar. Maybe Plant having a bit more success, but ultimately I've still got Canelo winning that fight. And he'll be the undisputed champion on Saturday night. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. The undercard, I don't even know what the undercard is for this fight, actually. I haven't even been paying that much attention. Yeah, I don't know. I have to check that out, actually. I haven't seen the undercard. I don't think it was that good, but I'll check that out. But listen, I'm going to... I'll check that out. I don't actually know. I have to find that out. Harvey said here, once Canelo goes through the gears, it's over for Plant. I have to agree. And Ian Hamilton has said here, let's be honest, the only one that can beat Canelo is himself. He always finds a way to win. Canelo Alvarez, how old is he now? He's like 30, he's 31 years old, yeah. So how much longer will he be able to sustain his prime? He's been in his prime for a number of years now, and he seems to be only getting better even now. I know what Laurie will say about that, but it's going to be difficult, I suppose, for anyone to beat Canelo right now unless he moves up to 175. Anybody at super middleweight, I'd have him as a favourite over, and anyone super middleweight or below, I'd have him as a favourite. But once he gets to light heavyweight, that's just a new division altogether. He did toy with the idea when speaking about Beterbiev, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's see Canelo this weekend first before we judge who he could fight next, because Caleb Plant could win. Caleb Plant could spring the upset. It's not impossible. And if he does do it, I'll be happy for him. I have to be honest, man. As much as I'm a fan of Canelo, I wouldn't be upset at all if Caleb Plant was to win. But I'm going to do a post-fight reaction to this fight anyway, on maybe not Saturday night because it's going to be like 6, 7 in the morning. But I will do it on the Sunday at some point during the day. So look out for that video. I'll go live for that again. Maybe get Laurie as well to get his reaction on that fight. And we'll talk about some of the other fights upcoming for November because we are stacked this month. So look out for those videos, guys. And I'm going to lock this podcast off today. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, don't forget to do so. And look out for that video after the fight. Until then, enjoy the weekend. And I'll catch up with you guys soon, man. Peace out.